we've gotten some big news about Dragonflight Season 4, okay? Let me bring this up. So, what we've got here today, right? Let's use the other cam. Let's just turn this down a little bit. Whew! The other cam. I don't want to be up here. It's scary up here. I want to come back down. Whee! Okay. So, some hair up. Make myself look lovely for the YouTube video. Do I look good, stream? What's this little bit? What's this little bit ahead of it? This is giving a gap. Or a gap. I don't want a gap. Okay. That's where everyone's attention gathered. Dragonflight Season 4. We discussed about Fated earlier and why Fated sucks. Yeah, that's the last video on the channel. There's the time of the stream. And now we've got some news about the dungeon side of it. Yeah, dungeon changes of Season 4 Dragonflight. Okay, I'm gonna go through it bit by bit. Yeah, I'm not gonna jump ahead, even though I know some of the news, but I'm not gonna jump ahead. So, first of all, we know that the dungeon rotation for Dragonflight Season 4 are the 8 Dragonflight dungeons. Yeah, no mega dungeons, no Dawn of the Infinite. Yes. So grateful to not have that back. But it's the 8 base dungeons of Dragonflight. So, I gotta say, I think this is a good thing, but I also think it's a bad thing. Why do I think it's a bad thing? Because they should have done this at the start of the expansion. Can't wait to do the same dungeons you've done in the expansion. Well, I'd wager you've half done it, to be honest. Like, you got to do half of them in Season 1, and the other half in Season 2. You rarely do these dungeons while leveling. And they're much less played in any of the other dungeons we've had in any other season of Dragonflight so far. The only exception would be Dawn of the Infinites probably having a bit less played in some of these dungeons. But yeah. I think this is good. And I hope that if there's one thing Blizzard takes from a Fated season, it's the way that they do their dungeons again. Because my god, like, the way they went into Shadowlands Season 4 and just went, oh, old dungeons, bringing it back. Okay, this is a new precedent for the game. Ah, gods, that went bad. But this, having the expansions dungeons, we have the current content dungeons as current content. This is what we should have had for the entire expansion. And I'm glad that we at least have it now. The problem we've got is we have people who have already had a Season 1 in it. Now, traditionally, with a lot of the prior expansions, people have gotten annoyed at these dungeons after Season 1. Yeah? They've gotten annoyed because there were challenges and they weren't able to overcome it. And then in Season 2, Season 3, they kind of overcome it, but then they start getting bored of it because they start learning the strategies. Effectively, I'm going to go out on a whim. I'm going to say that this is actually Season 2 of Dragonflight in terms of Mythic Plus. This is Season 2 of Dragonflight Mythic Plus. We've had Season first half and Season second half in Seasons 1 and 2. And now this, like, those who combine to be Season 1. Now this is Season 2 of Dragonflight Mythic Plus, yeah? So, treat this like the second season of every prior Mythic Plus based expansion. We've still got to optimize some strategies in these dungeons. There's still a lot for us to learn. There's still a lot for us to play around. And there's different routes that we can make. Just bear in mind, there's so many, like, different games. So many different strategies which have developed over the course of prior expansions. Take Shadowlands. The way you played Plaguefall in every single season seemed to change. People came up with new and better metas, routes and whatnot over the entirety of the expansion, which honestly, I'd say kept things interesting enough. Problem is, we go into like Freehold, then all we've done is played the same old strategies we played back in the day. Except the difference is there's no N'Zoth Spires, there's no seasonal affixes that actually made some of these dungeons much more entertaining. Waycrest Manor, the doors don't change, so there's not even any variation. Waycrest Manor, this expansion, was 100 times more boring than it was in any season of BFA. So, I gotta say, having the 8 Dragonflight dungeons in this season is a good thing to happen. I wish we had it for more seasons of Dragonflight. Honestly, I kind of agree with you. Must-take classes, I do think might change a little bit. And I do think, like, there have been changes to stuff like Nelthras, but comp will change. Comp will definitely change. There will still be requirements for important dispels, for example, but the meta is different now. Classes have evolved. Specs are doing different stuff to what they used to do. Things will have changed. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, our gear is also much better. I do think this is going to be relatively fresh. I think dismissing these dungeons is, like, as our new seasonal dungeons, I personally believe it's the wrong thing to do. Okay? And if you have opinions against having these, then please feel free to express them. This is why we have discussions, to respectfully air out different opinions. Yeah, I gotta say, it's great to have a season 2 with these dungeons. It's so much better than, you know, season 5 of Waycrest Manor. Yeah? They're like, tell me honestly, did you really want season 5 of Tol Dagor to come into the game? Here's another thing I want to address, actually. So, there are people who call for the old content to come back as current content. Which, I mean, people called for Classic to come back. And back in the day, it was so uncertain of whether it happened, and then all of a sudden they actually did it. They finally caved in after fighting the player base so hard to not do it. And now, you can at least be certain that Blizzard are bringing back a load of these dungeons. So if you want to replay all these old dungeons as current content, then, my friends, Classic's there for you. It is. Cata Classic's on the horizon. Seasons Discovery is revolutionizing things. Classic Era still exists. You can go for it. Season 1 and Season 2 dungeons were nice for having them split, and after Forgotten Season 3 was kind of bad and unexpected, but at least you got the dungeon back. I completely agree with you, like, at least if you mean, like, the Dragonflight dungeons, I think the other dungeons they brought in were absolute living hell. And just turbo boring. Like, there's no surprises to it. And the problem is, when you know what's gonna go wrong in the dungeon, and when there's nothing really out there for you to explore, then all you can really do is focus on the negatives. Like, here's the thing with Freehold. A lot of people love that dungeon. I'm sitting here like, you mad? You've got an RNG chance to effectively be death gripped into a blade storm, which will one-shot you. You've got so many interrupts that will stop you from playing the game. You have so many ground effects, which you just have to spend 5 minutes just holding down the W key and never doing a single point of damage. Meanwhile, it's like, you see all the melee getting to have fun and enjoy the dungeon. It's like, yeah, okay, great design. Great design for a dungeon, only this set of classes can play. It's not vanilla era of WoW, yeah? We don't need a class balance of Oh, this is OP, then this is OP, then this is OP, then this is OP. The retail's more of an evolved version where everything should be able to work. In fact, we're getting this as a fat L view. I think past dungeons and raids would have worked better for 4 to 6 months. Why do you think past dungeons and raids would have worked better, though? Because, like, you bring it back, and then there's people like me who'll be sitting there like, well, what do I do? Like, there's nothing new for me to do. Why would I resub to the game? Why would I endorse this sort of gameplay? And why would I buy the next expansion if it's just going to be the same content which I've already paid for in the past? Like, I'm going to be genuinely honest. I'm very, very, very annoyed that they brought back all these old dungeons and whatnot. I do genuinely feel like it's a bit of a scam. I paid for these dungeons back in the day, and now I'm paying to do them again. Like, that's ridiculous. Just remember, at the end of the day, this is a service you're paying for. And I do get the same expansion dungeons throughout the expansion does get boring. I hear you, and I agree with you. What's the solution? Not bringing back old dungeons. It's the Legion solution. You make more dungeons in the expansion, and you swap these new dungeons into the rotation. I mean, how many dungeons does Legion have in the end? Way more than what we've been getting for, like, the past 3 expansions. Like, when Cohen came out, City of Triumvirate, thingy. Oh god, my mind's gone blank. Just when they brought out those new dungeons, oh my god, they made it so much more enjoyable. I've done them all as well, however they are different. I adamantly disagree with you. The dungeon is the same, no matter what. You can add on a few affixes, you can change the mechanics a little bit, but the core of that dungeon is still the exact same. I mean, hell, what's changed in Waycrest? We're not playing the exact same affixes, arguably worse affixes, and the doors are now open all the time. All of them are open all the time. That's nothing. Throne of the Tides, they have revamped it a bit. However, I'm going to say a bit. Like, no, not even that much. Throne of the Tides still feels very much the same as how I did it in Cataclysm. Can I imagine doing Ruby Life Pools for a year? Yes. I honestly wouldn't mind that. Like, the thing with Ruby Life Pool is, there's still more to learn. Like, honestly, do you honestly think, yeah, that we could develop more routes for some of these old dungeons, different strategies for some of these old dungeons which are being brought back, than for if we do more Ruby Life Pools? How much innovation do you reckon there'll be in this season compared to the last 3? I'm gonna wager. I'm gonna put my reputation on the line and say that there will be way more innovation this season than there has been the last 3 seasons. Yeah. Like, when Legion had 15 dungeons and then you're doing 8 dungeons for 2 years, that's an issue. You need new stuff. Like, mega dungeons aren't healthy for the game. I'm gonna throw that out there. Return to Karazhan. Horrible dungeon. Tazavesh. Sucked. Some people like it. I honestly admire your optimism. Mechagon. Please never again. Please, honestly, never again. If I have to dodge through those whirling saw blades again, then... if I have to fight over shotbots again... whoo! The world can't handle that. The world cannot handle that. Dawn of the Infinites. God, doing that gauntlet again will drive me up the wall. No. No. And Blizzard, please add a skip to that gauntlet the second Dragonflight is over. Or even in this next season, because it's no longer a competitive dungeon. Add a skip to the gauntlet. But yeah, the bottom line is, we should have the new content throughout the expansion. We should not have the old content for the expansion. But there should be more new content. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, guys, I think let's look into some of the other dungeon changes. So we've addressed what's in the table for the rotation. Okay. Now, they've actually made some changes to Mythic Plus in baseline. So, Season 4 changes will apply to all 8 of the Dragonflight dungeons. Part of the adjustment with a few goals in mind. Calibrate core difficulties. Server community enjoys dungeon. Feels Mythic Plus and Duton to pressure take part. Create better player. Whatever. More notable changes players can look forward to is the removal of timer from Mythic Plus keystones, which are between 0 and 10. So basically, any key between 0 and 10 is not a key, it's another difficulty. Which is effectively means you've got I'm gonna call normal is Mythic -2, Heroic's Mythic -1, and Mythic's Mythic 0. You've got Mythic -2, -1, 0, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you got 12 levels of dungeons you have to progress before you can actually do real Mythic Plus and time content and getting score and whatnot. There should be more content for sure, but doing 8 dungeons for whole expansions, most mind-numbing shit. Wasn't BFA, same as Shadowlands. Legion was a complete anomaly. Legion was how it should have been set. Legion wasn't an anomaly, it was the setting for it all. BFA, Shadowlands, and Dragonflight are the anomaly. They're the bastardized failed children of Legion. Yeah? That's the real situation here. But, okay. So, removal of timer from Mythic Plus keystone between 0 and 10. This is a bad change. Mythic Plus should be all about you completing a dungeon in time, you getting your score, you progressing, and you testing your skills. Now, Mythic 0 to 10 is not a test of skill, it's a gear farm. This is on these dungeon levels are now the same as normal, heroic, and mythic. You now have, instead of 3 just baseline progressional dungeon levels, you have 12. This is bad. Players can run through these dungeons at their own pace without needing to watch the clock while still honing their skills. See, no they can't, because you've got a player base in any pug who'll be like, you're taking too long, I'm going, screw you, and they'll leave. Like, what? These dungeons take the best part, like, either half an hour or close to an hour, in that sort of region. If a dungeon takes an hour, I'm sorry, but I think you have every right to leave. At the end of the day, this is a game. You shouldn't have to be spending an hour on something where you're potentially getting something out of it, but you're probably not. Doing the same dungeons are annoying, but that's what Season 4 should be. Don't have enough content to delay your expansion, just give us some stupid time war controls and the fated Hellfire Citadel or some shit. Don't care, it's the end expansion patch. See, that could be good. Although, I still don't agree. Like, I don't mind them going over the top with stuff like corruptions and whatnot. But Fated doesn't add anything interesting. It's just, oh, here's everything you did before. Even if you bring back Hellfire Citadel, you've done it before. Here's stuff you've done before. That's all you're getting. At least corruptions was something new, silly, and absurd, and absolutely game-breaking to mess around with. Yeah? Shadowlands Double Legendaries did take that to an extent as well. But to be honest, that was just polishing a system. I mean, ultimately, I, I'm just gonna oppose this in general. Like, there shouldn't be a fated. Fated shouldn't be a thing. There should be new content for season 4. Like, accepting fated, in my opinion, is accepting a scam. So, yeah, no, I'm gonna completely disagree with that. I don't think saying, oh yeah, we can go back and do these old raids again, it is acceptable for a game of this high expense. Like, just remember, you're paying for an expansion, and you're paying sub. And you might even be paying for WoW tokens, cosmetics, and all other services you get in the store. If we can't demand a game standard to what we got back in Legion, then I'm sorry, but like, that's unacceptable. The whole purpose of the season is to delay the new X-Pack release, it seems. But here's the thing. Why could past expansions, which were extremely successful, why could Mr. Pandaria and Legion get away without Fated and still release the next expansion? Why? And like, you could say, oh, Fated, well, the expansions that followed weren't that good. But like, we had Fated in Shadowlands, and look at the expansion we're in now. I'd still adamantly argue that Dragonflight is equally bad as Shadowlands. Some people might say it's a bit better, some people might say it's worse. Equally bad. Like, something in the quality of Legion and Mr. Pandaria is what Blizzard need to do. Anyway, so, looking at changes of difficulty. Normal's the same. Heroic. Same as a Mythic 0 back in the day. So, well, in current times. Still curable. You just get more loot. You need a bit more skill. Mythic. So, this is now the equivalent of a +10. No timers, no affixes, no limitations. But you now have to put in a lot more effort to get your Mythic 0 gear, which is usually negligible? But, whatever. Maybe next season it's actually good. That, from what I gather, Mythic 10 is like the last level you get gear next season, instead of 20s. Which, you know, less gear grinding? Sure, fine. Having to do time content for gear grinding as well? Bad idea. And I'm not going to get too much into gears, we spoke about it in a prior video, but gearing system needs to change. War Within, 8 dungeons, 4 zones, 1 raid. If midnight is the same, shit won't change. I mean, if it's the same, then, like, just Blizzard should just stop the game at that point. They really should. They should just cash in, sell it out, be done with it. If they're not actually going to put the effort in to really innovate the game, then like, what's the point? Like 8 dungeons as a base, great. The 841 model is so boring though. You can't just release the same stuff over and over and over again. It's not a product. You're not selling anything new, so why would you buy it? Like, the way we're being treated is like COD and FIFA players. Yeah, anyway. Mythic system will have rewards up to level 10. Okay, great. So basically, the skill checks, well, the skill-based gameplay starts at 11 in Mythic Plus. Why we need that and we couldn't just, like, add a couple more difficulties in general or something? I don't know. But yeah, difficulty goes up. And yeah. So, my major question is, how hard is it going to be to get KSM and KS8? Because if you still need to do, like, 15s and 20s and whatnot, then that's going to be the equivalent of, what? Doing 30s for your portals? I'm sorry, but that is absurd. Like, it's better. There should still be a timer on +2 to +10. Because those aren't Mythic Keystone. That's not Mythic Plus at that point. That's just a glorified extra difficulty to farm gear in. And it, like, if Mythic Plus is the skill test of PvE and the way to compare score and whatnot, then it shouldn't be a gear farm. For Portal, should be doing 15s. Have they confirmed that? Because, like, if so, that's not bad. Well, it's not too bad, but it's like, if a +10's as hard as a +20, then effectively you're doing a 25, so... Like, if it's 10s, then that's fine. That's honestly fine. And having less levels to have to progress through to grind gear is a really welcome change. If 10s is portals, and, like, you can get all your achievements between 2 and 10, then great, but bring the timer back, honestly. There should still be a timer in Mythic Plus. Yeah. Yeah, that seems like a reasonable idea. Dungeon ratings should be equivalent to what they represent in the current system. Okay. Yeah. See, this point right here, really good, really good. This, I think, they're in the right direction. Yeah? They do still need to tone it back more and have less different tiers of gear, but this is good. This is good. There is no timer between +2s and +10s. To repeat, no timers in +2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. No timers. Timers start at +11 onwards. Which is like... What, like, what, why is there no timers? That's just a glorified higher level dungeon. Like, at that point, why is Mythic Plus timed at all? I'd, like, either abolish the timers, or keep it. Like today's 2 to 10s? Well, no, 2 to 10s still have timers, but, like, most of us in this chat, I imagine, can just blast through it, and most people watching the video can just blast through it as if there isn't a timer there. Like, I think if you're gonna remove the timer, remove it completely. Maybe timers are just focusing for the top percentages. I guess so. Like, the thing I worry about is having no timers means that groups could go on for hours and hours, and that's not healthy. Like, at the end of the day, it's real people playing this game. If there's a dungeon that has no time, my god, you could be sitting there for hours. That's not good. I'm concerned about one saying that having time is that the overall quality of teammates you get is going to be significantly lower. True. There's a lot of people who are going to go around being really silly, and I don't think this is going to help the game. I don't think people are really going to feel anywhere near as inclined to learn mechanics, and they're going to be like, oh, relax, there's no timer anymore. We can be here for as long as we want. That's not gonna work. Unfortunately, I think this system is gonna spread a lot more toxicity. Um, like anything going on for too long, like at this point, the time threshold of when people leave is solely based on the player. They remove timers so that eventually you can do M plus with bots. I actually believe that. I genuinely believe that. That could actually be so true. We're at those players, training players who are progressing at plus 15 for Spies Ascension for 27 hours. Yeah, that shouldn't be allowed. I think every dungeon should be forced to reset after 2 hours. Like being in a dungeon for 2 hours is just unhealthy for anyone, and I don't think that should be allowed. Like I guess you could argue like progressing, trying to get better, sure, but yeah, 27 hours is absolutely ridiculous. Nah, nah. To see that a repeat of that could be possible, and in fact more promoted, that's dangerous. That is really dangerous. You've already got something like the Race to World First, which already looks like a massive health risk, and as it's been longer and longer, there's issues with it. But I think, like, now that we've removed timers, which are like 40 minutes long. 40 minutes is already a massive amount of time. So, I think what this is going to do is make the average time of completing dungeons much longer. And that's not good. And so get more new people into Mythic Plus for the people who already clear 20s every season. It's going to go bad. Especially if you have to pug. I pug all the time. And I'm going to be honest. I will be that guy who leaves. Like, in my situation, I either pug or I don't play. So I go and pug, because I want to play the game. And then it's like a group that's going to be there for 2 hours, and it's like, no, that's ridiculous and a waste of time. Like, honestly, gear farming dungeons should be faster. Yeah? They should be fast. Actually trying to progress and get your score up and whatnot, and, like, pushing for leaderboard spots? Yeah, that's where things can get longer. Fair enough, I don't mind that. Like, you've got difficulty scaled very high. More bad players in a dungeon? Yeah, and that's going to lead to more toxicity, more negativity, more complaints. People aren't going to like that. Yeah, effectively, yes. But now it's like, if plus 10 is like the new plus 0, then that makes normal like minus 12. Yeah, I mean, they need to keep reducing the item level gap until there's, like, not much. They should remove the item level increase from the vault, but I think the vault in itself, despite the fact that I rarely ever get anything remotely useful from it, is a good system. How it should be. What, reducing the item level gap, or having 12 different difficulties to gear up? Um, what we're saying is it in the context now for us. But yeah, I think increase the item level from normal, heroic, and mythic dungeons, and and make it so like you don't have to keep farming in Mythic Plus. Just let the drops be the drops, and you're done. I don't want Mvridius Fragment tier 3 out of 16. I only want 16 out of 16. But if I get it dropped lower, then I'm not gonna be happy, am I? Normal's being casual, heroics being slightly harder, with more mechanics, mythic should be way harder. No, I think normal should be, like, normal heroic mythic should be beginning, middle, end, and then mythic plus should just be, like, test your skill. Simple as. That's, like, you add on the affixes and the modifiers, and then you go from there. No gear from mythic plus, you get your gear from the dungeons prior. Maybe mythic plus, could still drop the gear, that drop from mythic dungeons, but it's nothing of higher item level. Right. Season 4, revisit Dragonflight Dungeon Raid. Outdoor content, few new twists. Okay, so they're probably gonna buff, like Dream Surges and Time Rifts and whatnot. Be able to get an item from Vault tokens that increases the tier of your item. Well, here's the thing, there shouldn't be tiers. That's what I'm saying, like, at most there should be like 3 tiers in a season. At most. Like, when you need a graph to figure out different tiers within your season, you're not getting new players in the game, mate. And you know what? If you want some bad luck protection, let's replace the vault token. Oh no, give the vault tokens the option to trade in for Valor, but let Valor work how it did in Wrath of the Lich King. Where it's like, oh, you're not getting gear? Okay, just spend your Valor to go and get a piece of gear that you need. Simple as. Simple as. And make it so that you still need, like, a decent grind to guarantee these drops. Like, don't give it away for free. That should not happen. You should still have to work for the gear. But just make it better. But that's the thing. These item tracks are a bad thing. They shouldn't exist. Item tracks are a huge issue. I miss, what, you miss Valor? I do too. Different tracks of gear is bad. Being able to upgrade from the base to the top, great. Diners was a great system. Who didn't like diners? Honestly. Diners were, I think, one of the most well-received systems from Shadowlands. Probably the most well-received system. It is raid only. I do agree with that. I think bringing in, like, an OG Valor system would be better. You've got the option between dungeon and raid gear. Your Abyss not dropping? Well, at least every time you do these dungeons, every week you put the effort in, you are guaranteed progressing towards it. It's not like you might get it. It's like you will get it eventually. Like, you work and you get the reward. That's how it should be. And it, like I say, don't make it easy. Make people still have to work for it. But make it so that there is hope. Because why would you play when there's no hope? Like, there's so many people I know who just quit because they don't get the gear that they need. That sucks. Yeah. I think the Dinar system was both too limiting and too easy in Shadowlands. Like, you got them really quickly, but you only got 3, and then you were done done with Dinars for the season permanently. I think it should take longer to grind 1, but you can get more throughout the season. And then you could even experiment with more gear and get more builds going. This raid and stuff will later transfer to Diner and plus bring back Lemon currency like it was back in the day. I don't know. I still think mixing the two is good. Because, like, realistically, the end game progression for PvE is Mythic Plus. Yeah? You progress through the regular dungeons to get into raids. You get into raids to get more gear, to be able to do higher level dungeons. More Mythic Plus. That's, like, if you look at it from PvP standpoint, you do casual PvP to get your honor. You get that honor, you spend the honor on honor gear. Then you go into rated PvP to get conquest. That conquest gear helps you get more rating in rated PvP. That's a good system. That's how it should work. Right, adjustments to dungeons. Right, that kind of says nothing. Bowstring and incorporeal. Like, why do people actually have beef with bowstring? It's not that bad. It literally runs out after a few seconds. Like, 20 seconds. Bowstring's easy now. I honestly think people are crying too much about bowstring. Bowstring is not bad. Incorporeal, I agree. It's like, it's not hard, but it's unfun, annoying, and it, like, no one wants to do it. Same with afflicted. Bin entangling, incorporeal, and afflicted. They're really annoying. I'd disagree on that one. Not everyone enjoys Mythic Plus. Not everyone enjoys rated PvP. Not everyone enjoys pushing to the end. Not everyone enjoys progressing leaderboards. But the leaderboards are still the end game. Like, if you want to stop after doing your raids, you can. And you can just get an ult up and go do it again. Why not? But like, if you're more raid focused, then why should you have to why should you have to go and do +20s? That's stupid. I think if you still want like a current like really challenging raid difficulty, because I think Mythic should be made much easier so everyone can clear it. But if you want like another like an actual competitive challenging raid difficulty, then I think Blizzard should copy what they've done with Lost Ark, the Inferno difficulty, where it's like you pick your gear, you pick your skills, you pick your talent points, and then you go in. Like, what you already have doesn't matter, and then you're in there solely for cosmetics that can't be got anywhere else in the game. That's what they should do. And they could keep that relevant for like the entire game's lifespan. You can literally scale it. So, like, imagine Siege of Orgrimmar. You've got like ethereal difficulty, yeah, and you're scaled to Mr. Pandaria level, yeah. You're scaled. You have to pick Mr. Pandaria gear. You have to pick what was available in that season, not the next season. That season only. Yeah, that's all you get. You get the talents of that season. You get everything of that season. It's snapshotted. So even in 9 years' time, when you go to try and do it again, your raid team needs to pull their socks up and they need to perform. That should be the top raid difficulty. Mythic raid should just be a gear farm for progression to go and do like ethereal raids, as I'm calling it, and or Mythic Plus. Honestly, I'd buy a store mount if they did something like that. I would buy a store mount with my own money. Not even cheese it with a WoW token. I would buy a store mount. And then I'd say that I bought the store mount just because they made an incredibly good decision. Does anyone have anything else to add to discussion in Season 4? I think I'm going to do... While I'm waiting to see if you guys have any more comments, I'm going to do a summary now. And then we'll chat a bit more if people want to. So, summary. Dragonflight Dungeon coming back is a good thing. Out with the old, in with the new. For the future, we should have more than 8 dungeons in an expansion. Go back to the OG Legion model. That was how Mythic Plus should be done. The new changes to gearing in Mythic Plus are a step in the right direction. It's not a complete W, but I think it's definitely heading into the right direction with way less effort that you need to do with gearing, which is already a very strenuous task. Removal of timers in these lower keys, I think, not a good move. Not a good move. Overall, I think it's going to create some very negative and toxic impacts for the game. Yeah. I think that's everything I have to say on the topic. I do hope we get some fundamental changes to the game. It will be very interesting. But, yeah. Like, I do think what they're doing is good. I think people are crying about these Season 4 changes way too much. I'm seeing people, like, saying, "Oh, WoW's over for me because they're bringing back the Dragonflight dungeons." Shut up. You haven't even played them enough to be optimized for it. You don't know the perfect routes. You don't know the perfect strategies. Yeah. Like, it's not like Shadowlands, where you did it for the 2 years. Yeah, figured everything out. And to be fair, you got burnt out. Fair enough. Having another season of them, I could understand why you'd be mad about it. But you know what? You barely did the Dragonflight dungeons. You're making something out of nothing. And that, I think, is just ridiculous and not on. You want things to change every season. You get new content, not old content that you've already paid for. So yeah, I think a lot of people need to stop whining. A lot of people need to actually get into this. And you know what? If people have differing opinions, by all means, go for it. Like, state your opinions. Let's talk about it. I'm up for further discussions. So long as we remain respectful. But yeah, that's it really. I do think the whining about and just saying like everything's all over it is very dramatic, really destructive for the game, and honestly a bit disrespectful to the devs themselves. Like, bear in mind, these are people who are still trying to do something good for the game. And with all my criticisms, I don't mean anything in a way to attack anyone involved. I only wish to see the best form of the game and the community. And I want to see us all progress and just enjoy ourselves. This is a game, we're here to have fun, we're here to have a good time, and I love it. Anyway guys, thank you very much for taking part into the discussion. Oh, I must say, I am very much looking forward to having some dinner and just taking a break from talking.